is when climate change and pollution cause temperatures in an environment to become hotter or colder than usual. This has a very negative effect on living things because the temperatures they are used to drastically change. The plants are not used to these conditions, so they often die. Sea level rise is caused by climate change or pollution, causing glaciers and ice to melt. The melted ice flows into the oceans, and the sea levels rise, killing plants and other living things mostly on the coast. Our job is to figure out the effects of climate change with tools from the greenhouse that can help create environments similar to the ones affected by climate change.
To set up our project, we tied 2 young basil plants to the tops of separate containers hovering in the middle above the bottom. We filled each container with water from the NFT to 2 squares up on the plant's container. This meant that we filled the water to the second square in the net pod. 1 plant was put on a heat pad and 1 was put on an ice pack. After 2 weeks, we came back to observe and reset. We reset the environment for each plant. We kept the water level the same, but made the temperatures more extreme. The hot plant was still on a heat pad, but we put a piece of plastic between the heat pad and the plant to make it less hot. Then we added a water heater that goes up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit in the water. For the cold plant, we changed the ice pack and added ice cubes. The next week, we removed the thick plastic from underneath the hot plant. This gave the plant almost direct contact to the heat pad and water heater. The cold plant was not very different. We exchanged the ice pack and added a little more ice than we did before. We also raised the water levels to 3 squares on both plants. For the week after that, we still replaced the water with the NFT water and raised the amount of the water by 1 square. We did not, however, raise or lower the temperatures. After the last week, we recorded data.
When we started, both plants were healthy and small. After 2 weeks, both plants were starting to discolor. We noticed that water had more algae and had evaporated faster in the hot environment. The cold plant didn't grow very much, and neither did the hot plant. For 3 weeks, the 2 plants were both white at the veins, and the hot plant was shriveling at the tip. The water had completely evaporated, and the roots were turning black for the hot plant. Both were regaining color, but still didn't look very healthy. The cold plant had dark green water, but it didn't evaporate very much. The cold plant was definitely healthier than the hot plant. By week 4, it was evident that the hot plant was growing fast, and the cold plant was not. They had regained color, and the cold plant looked pretty healthy. The hot plant, however, was getting darker and shriveling up. It had lost most of its incredibly delicate, now black roots, and it was not in good condition. The sides were crawling with dried up algae, unlike the cold plant's container, which is full of slimy green water and climbing with slimy dark green algae. The hot plant probably had more algae than the cold plant, but it was all dried up and turned beige and white. Our final observations were on week 5. Even though it was super tall, the hot plant was completely shriveled, and the stem felt like plastic. It was brown, green, white, and bone dry. The cold plant was well hydrated, but not in very good condition. It was well colored, but had holes and black spots all over it.
Sea level rise affects most living things on the coast. Extreme temperatures affect living things in areas where there is a lot of pollution and places that are being affected by climate change, so the temperatures become warmer and colder.
Our original hypothesis was that the hot plant would quickly shrivel because of lack of water, and that would cause it to evaporate. We expected the cold plant to discolor and die. For the hot plant, we were almost correct, but not quite, because it took longer than we expected for it to happen.
For the cold plant, we were way off. The plant in the end was still alive, but not in the best condition. Our project showed that climate change can affect living things in very negative ways. This means for farmers that their crops will all die, leaving them with nothing to eat. This also affects us because when farmers don't grow anything edible, there are no farmers markets. When there are no farmers markets, people can't buy fruits and vegetables, leaving us with nothing to eat. Meat-wise, with no plants, herbivores can't eat. With no herbivores, carnivores can't have nothing to eat. With no carnivores, there is no meat. Therefore, there is a good possibility that because of climate change, we will all starve. Thank you.